Welcome back. An expose revealing the treatment of pigs by the New Zealand pork industry has turned former pork poster boy Mike King into an animal rights campaigner. Breakfast wanted to get reaction this morning from the pork industry, but they have declined. So we've got Mike in the studio and we've got Safe campaigner Kriek in Christchurch. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. Mike, let's start with how this all began. You were actually alerted to this by a mate of yours?
Yeah, a mate of mine in Invercargill. I was down there working, and we're both depression sufferers, and we were talking about depression, and he said to me, "Do you know pigs suffer from depression?" And of course I looked at him and went, "Yeah, rightio, mate," and mocked him and gave him a hard time. He said, "Do you mind if I send you some information?" I said, "No, go right ahead." So on the 17th of November, he sent me a couple of articles about pigs getting depression, and at the end of that article, there was a link to a video that on the Safe website, and I watched that. I watched that footage, and I went, "Oh, that's disgusting," and I need to see for myself.
Just break in there, Hans. Pigs are very intelligent animals. Is that right?
Yeah, they're highly intelligent. They actually classified as probably the 4th most intelligent animal. They actually outperform chimpanzees in a lot of experiments. So they're highly intelligent. And researchers have actually said they have about the same intelligence as a 3-year-old human being.
That's quite shocking. What happened next? You were still under, Mike, you were still under contract at that point.
Yes.
That you saw that link?
Yes.
For another how long?
5 more weeks.
Okay,
yeah.
and your contract with the pork board was terminated by the pork board. I just want to clear this up.
Yes, despite them saying to, like the owners of Havoc Farm, that I'd quit, no, they terminated my contract.
And you must have been quite relieved, because you'd obviously started
relieved.
Feeling uncomfortable about this issue.
I was extremely relieved. They did me a huge favour.
So Hans then takes you, you break in under the cover of darkness to a pig farm.
Hans wasn't there. I went with Animal Rescue. I'd rode my Harley down to Levin. We broke in at 4 o'clock in the morning, and even from 1 mile away from this establishment, you could hear the pigs screaming. You could smell them. Once we broke in, we're only there for 45 minutes. Couldn't get the stench off your clothes. It was absolutely disgusting.
They're very powerful pictures we saw on the television last night.
And they don't even go part of the way to having you experience what we experienced. They're not even close.
You looked really emotional, actually. Did it have a huge, almost a shattering impact on you?
I felt guilty as hell. I mean, you're in there, you can see in the eyes of these animals, you know, like it's like being in a mental institution. Some of them were lost, completely lost. Others were, you know, like when you see a madman walking backwards and forwards talking to himself. That's what these pigs were doing. And some of them were maimed. They'd been in these crates so long they couldn't move. Disgusting. It's like slavery.
Hans, tell us how common this is. How widespread is this sort of practice?
Well, sadly, it's very widespread. About 90% of pigs in New Zealand are factory farms, so those are the fattening pigs. The pigs that people eat are kept in small concrete barren pens where they are terribly overcrowded. And the sows that we saw on the show last night, about half the sows in New Zealand are confined to these crates. So about 22,000 sows live virtually their entire lives in crates so small that they can't turn around ever.
It amazes me that we've not, the New Zealand public, even the minister, who's a farmer himself, you, Mike, claim to have not known about this.
Well, you don't expect it. You seriously do not expect it in clean, green New Zealand. I mean, I watched the ad that I did, and I can't believe that I said, you know, these pigs are from God's own, not God knows where. Well, quite frankly, God knows where might have been a lot better than here, which is shocking to me, and I'm sure it is to every other New Zealander.
Hans, is this most people's reaction when they're finally told the truth?
Oh, absolutely. Look, you know, New Zealanders don't like animal cruelty, and when people find out, people will actually act and do something about it. And let's not forget, this is really important. This is actually a consumer campaign, because we have the power, consumers have the power to stop this. If we no longer buy factory farm pork,
that's a really nice idea, Hans. And I know that you've both done your bit now. You've put this out into the public domain. But the issue is cost. Let me quote you here. Freedom Farms middle bacon free range, 300 grams, $10.85. You can get 700 grams of normal factory farmed, I guess, bacon signature range for 4 cents more. And it's more than double the amount. And the fact is that free-range goods are just simply too expensive for most people.
But if you outlaw the practice...
Well, actually...
Go on, Mike, first.
If you outlaw the practice, then the cost comes down. If everyone is doing the same thing, the cost comes down. And New Zealanders are the sorts of people, we've proved this with free-range eggs and chicken, that we will pay that extra cost.
How close are we to getting this practice outlawed, Hans?
Well, the government is doing a review this year, and you know, we are very suspicious that they won't do anything again. Successive governments have failed the animals, and that's why we're saying it is a consumer issue. Because really the issue is that factory farm pork is as cheap because of the cruel system used. So if consumers don't like to see these animals being abused, the key thing is do not buy factory farm pork.
All right, that's the message. Hans, Kriek and Mike King, thank you for coming on the show this morning.